Should be live in just a second here.
Okay. Trust you.
All right, we are live. Let me just give it a second to load. I just saw that refresh on my end. I think we're good. All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tapcaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast active on my channel right now. My name is Justin. I'm joined as always by my good friend, Mr. Loses, Corey.
Hello.
Today we are going to go through and rank, we'll sort of re-rank every single book that we've read so far on the podcast. So the very first book we read was Truce of Akura, and we've sort of been moving through chronologically, like the after Endor period, but I've also been jumping around, covering, we've done the Bane trilogy, we've hopped into Canon a little bit. So yeah, how are you doing today, Corey?
I was doing good, but then I just saw a mouse run by right behind me. So
Are
it's
you
getting
serious?
colder. There's mice coming into the house now. I don't have a nice cat like yourself to take care
You
of that
actually just
problem
see
for
a mouse?
me. Yeah,
A mouse thing?
I saw one like 2 nights ago, and then I just saw one run behind my green screen over there.
You know who
So
that is, right?
is it Mickey coming to make sure we don't?
That's Mickey. If you give High Republic anything less than a B, he's gonna slit your throat.
Well, I'm giving
Yeah,
Light of the Jedi lower than a B, but I'm giving Rising Storm higher than a B. So is that's enough?
yeah. I'm giving Light of the Jedi. I think that's the same for me. So how are you doing, Corey? Before we get into the actual rankings, what's new
Yeah.
with you?
Other than that, I'm good. We've seen some new trailers since the last episode of Tapcaf.
Hmm.
Some Boba Fett's are. We're not
Mhm.
ranking the book of Boba Fett tonight, but it's not even a book. It's pretty weird. I'm very confused by the whole thing.
Kind of a shit name. I don't even think Boba Fett can read.
It's never been established that he can.
Yeah. So you're right. Kind of a bad name for that.
Like, how are we supposed to believe he can read if we don't see a montage of him learning how to read in the show?
What did you think of the trailer, though?
I enjoyed it. I I don't think we were given anything that was too spoilery, which is my usual fear with trailers. So as
Mhm.
long as we don't get that, I'm usually good. But
Yeah. They seem pretty confident now after like the Mandalorian.
yeah,
They can just like throw anything up in the trailer and know that like we've got pretty good level of faith in it. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Um, and unfortunately, next week I was kind of hoping it would work out, but Disney Plus Day is I think the Friday.
mm,
Yeah, so I know I don't know. We were going to do New Rebellion next week, right?
that was the plan. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to talk about it. We'll tweet something out to figure out what we're doing. For now, I guess just assume we're doing New Rebellion, but we were also talking about maybe doing Dune today, so we've got to do that at some point. And I think there's probably going to be enough stuff at the Disney Plus event to warrant an entire episode. So
Hopefully,
maybe we should think about doing the episode on the weekend or something. I don't know, just a thought.
I'm not sure if we'll really get that much out of Disney Plus Day. Like,
Okay.
even if we get a trailer for Kenobi or even Andor or something, I don't know that two trailers will make a whole episode.
Okay, well we can just cover it in
Yeah.
the next time. So with
Probably
that being
maybe
said,
do like a separate episode that we record just quickly, like we did with
mhm,
the Boba Fett reaction for X2.
mhm, cool. Is there anything else you want to mention before we get into this ranking list?
No, I feel like there's some sort of date I'm supposed to remember right now, and you're like, is there anything else? But it's slipping my mind.
You're forgetting our
Sorry.
anniversary again.
That's in March. That's in March.
All right, so let's take a look. I'm just looking to see because Corey, you're actually running the stream here. I take a look at this tier list. So the way this works is you just want to show them the master list to show them like everything. We've got like an entire um, list of every episode we've done so far, which is 80 plus. Um,
So yeah, we
obviously,
have all the all the episodes here. Obviously, not all of them are books, so that's what the zeroed out numbers mean there. But for the
Mhm.
purposes of today's episode, we're basically going to be going through, looking at all the rankings we've given in the past, and with some hindsight, going back through and maybe adjusting some of them,
Mhm.
ranking them kind of in context with each other. So I've deleted it down to just the actual books here. There are two rankings of ours that I wasn't able to find, the greater good ranking for the second Ascendancy book, and Before the Storm in Black Fleet Crisis. I wasn't able to find our exact rankings for that, so
Okay.
hopefully I'll be able to find that later and fill
Yeah.
it in. But we're gonna
Yeah.
look at all these and see how it goes.
So another thing as well, you guys see numbers here. So like for Truce of Bakura, Corey's rating 3, Justin's rating a 3. So you might not be able to see it because of the way it's cropped on screen right now. But basically, when we record the episodes, we do it from like D being the worst, or sorry, F is actually the worst, all the way up to S, with S being the best, obviously. So an S for this list is a 6, and an F is a 1, and then for ones that we couldn't rank, like the TV shows, it's just a 0. And I also do want to mention, because I'm seeing people in the chat kind of talk about this, the order of this list is the order that we rank them in. We make no distinction between two books of the same tier. We used to, we don't anymore.
Yeah, like this is just the order we did the episodes in. It's not like Truce of Bakura is our number 1 book or anything. Maybe we've both had like a real coming to space Jesus moment with it, and it's just going to be top tier 6. I'm not saying that won't happen, but that's not what it means up here. That's just the first episode of Tapcaf we ever did was on Truce of Bakura. The final one we did last week was Ronin, so they're just in that order.
I can't believe we both give Truce of Bakura a C.
We started it off, and it was just like the mediocre one right there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Not mediocre, but
I think before we begin with the actual re-ranking, we should try to establish like a baseline and then define the other ranks, because I think that was something we kind of got away from as we moved on.
Yeah.
So do you think that like C is the average or B is the average?
I think C with 3 is the average.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Okay.
either way, kind of there's no exact middle. So
yeah. So C is average bad, B is average good, I guess. And then an A is a good book, and S is a, for me, like if I can't remember why I ranked a book an S, I'm not giving it an S anymore.
So Seamus in the chat said we gave Greater Good a B. He's the one who sent in a lot of the missing rankings last time. So thank you, Seamus.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and add that to the master list right now.
And I do think we forgot to actually go back and rank Black Before the Storm before the episode ended. So there we go.
I believe we talked about that, and then we just maybe never did it.
So we could say that C is the average, and then like S is kind of outside of that, and it's only the absolute best stuff. Okay. So
yeah,
then it's A, B, C, D, E, F, or not E, F.
Yeah,
A, B, C, D, F.
Okay, so C will be average. D will be below average, and then F will be really bad.
Yeah.
And then B will be good, A will be very good, and then S will be kind of that legendary status. Okay.
And this is, again, for everyone, all relative to other Star Wars books as well. So it's not like we're saying if we rank a book an F, which we've only done once in the entire history of the show so far, because I really didn't like Champions of the Force. We're not saying go burn your copy. For me, that was more, I even talked about it in one of the episodes. It was more just, there's no reason to read this over something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like other criteria that we'll talk about, but like we're not saying you should go like at Kevin Anderson on Twitter and say I think he's a bad author or something. Please don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, this is not every book we've ever read. I see a few people asking. This is just the ones we've covered on the podcast so far. Yeah. With that being said, do you want to get started and hop right into the list? Let's make sure we're messing with the re-ranking temporary home. So at number 1, we have Truce of Bakura, the first book we ever read. For me, this is like the definition of a C.
Yeah, I'm happy with what we gave that. I think we both enjoyed it at the time. I'm not looking back and thinking, oh, we've had such gold or such bad stuff since then that it's shifting too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it survived our original re-ranking because we did this once before, much earlier on.
But I think we were like, it was like halfway through to where we are now. We did one re-ranking.
Yeah. I guess, we did a lot of book episodes early on, and then some show episodes kind of slowed us down a bit, so.
Yeah, so Truce of Bakura is a 3, very average, not in a bad way. I quite like it, but it's just in context with the rest of them, just a 3 for me, I think. But
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever gonna like go and read Truce of Bakura and then that puts them off Star Wars books. So
Yeah,
a
I agree. I
good
agree.
place to be.
I agree. Okay, so next up we have X-Wing Rogue Squadron. And this is one that in hindsight I want to rank higher, but I'm trying to push back against any urges to do that because part of me feels like I already have ranked some too high, but it does feel a bit low to me.
I think it
At a,
feels low based on like just the place in people's minds it occupies, but I I think that's partly the series overall. And there are other books we ranked higher than it, and that even like at the time we enjoyed more, and looking back that I think I still enjoy more. So I don't know that I can justify putting it like
yeah.
into A or S for that.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna kind of jump into the next one. Wedge's Gamble for me is a pretty big step up, so that's where I move up to. That one gets a pretty clear A, and I still agree with that. That's I think my favorite of the original four X-wing novels. So yeah,
Yeah. So you're sticking with your 4 or
yeah, I'm gonna stick with my four and my
on
five
Rogue.
actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I might go up to 5 on Wedge's Gamble as well.
Hmm.
I don't remember enough about it. You know what? I'm sticking with 4. I'm sticking with 4. I have no good reason to change that.
Okay.
But
It is. It actually did just get a re-release as well.
yeah, those
They're
covers are
they
actually I really like the covers for the Essential Legends stuff. Like
I
the
I like them for all, but I except the I don't like the new Rogue Squadron ones. I think they're kind of
really?
generic. I mean, it's just a pilot with the Rebel like insignia. You
Yeah,
know
but
what I
there's
mean?
pilots in the book, Justin.
There do be pilots in the book. It just like I used to for. It just feels like so many Star Wars books go with the kind of just person's face on it, and the
Yeah.
X-wing books back in the day were like some of the only ones that didn't.
Yeah, they introduced some new
Um,
ships even with that, so that's
hmm Yeah. Although Wedge's Gamble is
okay.
one of the worst ones. It's just the Lambda and the X-wing, I believe. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All
but
right.
yeah, we should have mentioned that too because so this is the second. What they're doing is they've released the Legends Essential Collection. We read Shatterpoint when that came out. The audiobook for that was great. I think this will be cycle 4 coming out now, and it is Darth Bane book 3, I think, X-wing book 2, Kenobi, and what's the other one I'm missing?
I don't remember.
Yeah, one other. So yeah, exciting stuff. I'm just more excited for the audiobooks, and I,
Yeah.
I kind of
Because these
am
are the first
assuming now.
unabridged ones for a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. So good stuff there. So another one where we had a disagreement was Krytos Trap, which I reread. I reread a lot of it and just re-listened to part of it for a video I did, and it is pretty boring. A 2 does feel kind of harsh in retrospect, but I think I'm gonna actually stay there.
Yeah, this is one that I remember at the time really looking forward to, and even though it was a huge letdown, I think that made me rank it higher than I really should.
Hmm.
Because like especially with the context of like part of my rankings being should you read this over something else?
Hmm.
Uh I think with Krytos Trap, it's like no, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah,
So
the
I might
ending
join
is
you there.
okay, but like it feels like it really could have been like Krytos Trap and Back to War really could have been combined. I think.
Yeah, like it's because I was looking forward to the trial, and then it kind of splits up the characters you want to see interact, and
Hmm.
it wasn't. I think
Oh
it and
yeah,
Ice
sorry.
Sarge
I'm
Revenge are
kind
kind
of
of both in
getting
there.
yeah. I kind of just got Back to War and Krytos Trap mixed up there because it's Back to War where it's kind of slow until the end. But yeah, sorry. I can't even really remember what happens in Krytos Trap. Like Back to War is kind of interesting because they finally take down the Lusankia, but like I just don't have any memories of Krytos Trap really, other than Cornhorn being in jail or
Yeah,
in the Lusankia for a
yeah, and
while.
then he breaks out, and you get to the trial at the end because like it's very Tycho focused, which I did enjoy
Hmm.
that element of it because Tycho
Hmm.
didn't get much until then,
Hmm.
but it wasn't. I don't think it makes up for its other
Yeah.
shortcomings.
Nice cover though. It's the one that's got the big space station with the Mon Calamari cruisers behind it. And I'm looking at the Japanese cover for that one's also really amazing. I've never seen it before. It's like Y-wings doing a bombing run on that big station, so that's cool. But yeah, I remember the probably the most memorable part of the book for me is the very end where all the rogues resign. But other than that,
Yeah.
I can't really justify giving it higher than a 2.
Yeah.
I can't even remember it now. So
Yeah.
but
It's there's like 2 notes in it. It's like get off Lusankia trial, and then it should really just be in. You could have put like the start of it at the end of the other book, and then put the end of it at the start of Back to War, and you're good.
Yeah. So Back to War, speaking of, that's next. For me, that's one that I actually considered moving down a little bit. I think I'm going to stick with it because I do like the Back to War kind of has a similar thing to the original Rogue Squadron, where a lot of the book is them kind of, because if you remember, they've quit the New Republic. They're kind of getting their own operation set up. So I enjoy that stuff. It's a fun read for me. I'm going to keep it at a 4. And so far, I haven't changed a single rating yet, and I don't know which is going to be the first one.
Yeah, these are ratings that have made it through one process of vetting already, so I'm not surprised.
Yep.
So I think I'm gonna keep my 5 as well. There's just so many kind of iconic moments with it, so many big moments that impact a lot of stuff that comes in other books too. So like it's important for the lore and also just really well done. So I think for me that's gonna stick as my first A. Join Wedge's gamble for you there.
Yep.
But
Makes
I think we
sense.
got one next that I don't think either of us is going to budge on this. We got Darth
No,
Plagueis. That was our first
Plagueis
S. It's too good.
Plagueis is top tier for me. None of my S's will be changing except like, actually, I got to take a look. Yeah, I don't think any of my S's will be changing. No, they're all perfect as is. So
I think we've done a few too many S's. That it might.
For me,
I've got 2 extra S's.
Yeah,
at least one of
for me,
mine's
I'm just
leaving.
like looking. My S's, for those who, I don't know if you guys can see the whole on screen. I've got Plagueis, Heir to the Empire, Last Command, Victory's Price, and Revenge of the Sith. You also have Chaos Rising, Shadowfall.
I have MedStar 1 as well.
Yeah,
I think
MedStar
at
1.
least 2 of mine are going to be dropping. So.
Okay. But not Plagueis. Good. It's so good.
Not Plagueis. Plagueis is like
nearly perfect.
It might be my favorite individual book.
Yeah, if there was like an
Star
S
Wars,
plus tier, I would give to Plagueis and Last Command. If there was an S plus tier. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Wraith Squadron. So for this is one that was close to an S for me.
We should note for this that when we read this and discussed it the first time, we had Star Wars Explained on, and we were all very drunk. So that might color things a little bit.
But I mean, Wraith Squadron's the classic, though. I think it might be one of my favorites. Period of the X-wing novels. So I'm not gonna change. I think what I like about X-wing is the books are just so consistently good and fun. But still just a 5 for me. I don't think it quite reaches that S tier. Like when I think of really memorable moments, I think of like what's his name's death in the woods. Faces. So Tom Fan.
I still think that's the best like death scene we've had so far. Like there might be something in NJO that knocks it out, but we haven't covered that for the podcast yet. So at least what we've done on the podcast, like that's the one that sticks out. Wraith Squadron, I feel kind of bad that I don't have an S in it anywhere, but it's just like as a group, those books are all just so good. It does kind of end on a lower note with Solo Command, but because that book you can't really resolve it because it has to go into courtship.
Like a lot of my problems with the Wraith Squadron books is they kind of run together for me, so I find it hard to really want to change any of my rankings too much for them.
Yeah.
I think like especially Solo Command and Iron Fist.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with all of mine how they were.
Yeah, me too. I'd be happy to move on past.
Yeah.
Ask them.
You get to courtship here now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Courtship of Princess Leia. This is one that I'm also not going to budge on because I actually really, really enjoy this book.
Yeah.
Um, I think I like this one quite a bit more than you, at least when we read it, because I love like pulpy fantasy novels, and this is the closest Star Wars gets to that. So it is quite different, but yeah, I'm gonna keep it as is.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep mine as well. Like I didn't like it quite as much as you. I'm not quite as into the pulpy elements as you were.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and especially like I think it's held back a little bit for me with the connection to Race Squadron, where it is kind of finishing off some of the stories there, and especially coming in the way we did. Maybe my thoughts on it would be different if it wasn't kind of coming in from having read Race Squadron right before we did it. But for now, maybe I'll read it again before the next time we go back and do any re-ranking. But I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to leave it there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, MedStar. Is this going to be one of the S's you give up, or do you still maintain this one is a 6?
I think this is going to be one of the ones that I drop a tier because I had like much lower expectations going in, and then it just kind of got bumped up by not being what I thought it would be. Like I didn't expect it to be bad, but it was really fucking good.
Yeah.
And like I think there's a lot of the rankings we'll have that probably won't surprise people too much, but I think MedStar is something that always kind of flies under the radar.
Yeah.
So if there's a recommendation to give to people of a book they might not read otherwise that they probably should, it's probably MedStar 1 and 2.
Yeah, we should
But
start doing guesses beforehand. Guess our rating, and then we'll look at which one surprised us the most.
yeah, that'd be
But
fun.
for me, the thing that holds it back is like I love the writing in it. I love the characters. I love the tone. It's just I can't think of one really memorable moment for
Yeah.
me. Whereas like with Plagueis, I can pretty much summarize the entire story. Same with
Mhm.
The Last Command. Same with Heir to the Empire. And that's kind of why I put Jedi Healer at 4 because it's kind
Yeah.
of the same, even a lesser version.
I'm even gonna
Um,
go to 3 with Jedi Healer, I
okay.
think, because I think it just gets held up so much by Battle Surgeons being as good as it was that I
Okay.
think we both came out wanting to like it a lot more than we did. That's kind of the main memory I have of it. It really is that. Like I remember
Mhm.
Barriss in a field, and I remember uh the death on the ship, but
Mhm.
it
Oh, it's in the bottom of my tea.
is it a mouse?
No. Okay. So, Heir to the Empire. This for me is an easy 6. This is one of my favorites, so I'm not going to touch this.
I don't know.
I'm even tempted to pump up Dark Force Rising,
Are
but
you okay?
for me it's like this Heir to the Empire and The Last Command especially are the books that feel most like a continuation of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like they like Timothy Zahn nails the tone of it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's hard for me to explain. Like there are like a couple of Star Wars things that give me the same kind of feeling as like being a kid, and it was Heir to the Empire and Kodor 1 are the ones that I think of the most.
Okay, that's fair.
But
I
I
don't know.
understand if I'm not trying to convince you though. I'm just giving my own rationale.
Are you gonna go to 6 for Dark Force Rising?
I think I'm not now. I feel like these are books that we probably read again at some point on the podcast,
Yeah,
just because that's the story that's really kind of
coming in with the shows now.
missing. Yeah, no, but that's a story that like it's Dark Force Rising that's really missing kind of the really memorable bits for me. Like the part at the end where they discover the Katana fleet's pretty cool, but compared to like my other S tier books, I don't think it quite makes it.
Yeah, like I don't think I'm getting rid of either of my 6s from it,
Mm-hmm.
but
You're gonna move it up?
I'm kind of leaning between 5 and 4 with Dark Force
Oh,
Rising.
okay.
I think I am gonna leave it at 5. Like 4 is still above average. I just want to like
Oh yeah, yeah. People like, and this is kind of something we talked about last time. It's like movies. That was the kind of comparison I made. Like in a world with a better movie rating system, a 5 is not an unwatchable movie.
yeah.
And a 7.5 is a very good movie, and a 10 is an outstanding movie or video game or whatever. But now we've gotten to the point where like even the most average movie, like every fucking Marvel movie that comes out is expected to get a 10, or people on the like MCU subreddit are gonna like be pissing and
Yeah.
shitting and crying. So it's like let's be honest, most Marvel movies are watchable and fun, but like are they bringing cinema to the next level? Probably not. Same with Star Wars movies. So it's like I wish there was it's like when Halo 4 came out. I remember being on like the Halo, I don't even know if it was a subreddit or whatever community that day, and like anytime someone gave it anything less than like a 9.5, people would start freaking out, and like
Yeah.
it's just like there's got to be more nuance. So try to keep that in mind. We're trying to rate it like that with an actual
Yeah.
like C is still decent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm sticking with what mine are. I feel like I've probably got all three of them towards the lower end of whatever tier they're on, but I still
Mhm.
think they qualify for those tiers. I'm trying to do it without catering too much to how they set the tone for the rest of the universe, because they obviously get a lot of credit for setting up that like Star Wars could be this kind of expanded universe, which
Mhm.
like they definitely deserve credit for, but in terms of like if you're coming at it now to all that stuff already existing, if you're just reading them as books on their own, not for historical significance or anything like that, because I didn't
Mhm.
give Rogue Squadron credit for that either in
Yeah.
how I
And
ranked
that's
it.
it's tough not to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
So I think we're getting to the first one that I'm actually going to change, and I think Jedi Search is getting bumped down to a 3 for me,
Hmm.
because this is one of those cases where I am letting the prestige of the series and like the things that it sets up that I like later on. Like I like the Jedi and whatnot. I like everything featured there, but the actual novels themselves, I'm really not huge on. So I think that Jedi Search is going to get a 3, and I think I'm going to move Dark Apprentice down to a 2.
Yeah, and then you're gonna keep Champions of the Force with two as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm dropping. It's already such a low series for me, but I think I gotta drop Jedi Search down to a two as well. Like the big thing for this for me was the element of what could you be reading instead, and for
Hmm.
Champions of the Force, it feels kind of like a mess. Like they wrap up
Yeah.
the plot thread from the prior two in the first 10 chapters, and then just feel like they need to find something else to do, and
Hmm.
I don't like.
Yeah. I'm not quite there where
Yeah.
like I find it purely like for me, like one thing that I've been thinking about too is like how much of a slog I find these to read. Like I don't find it difficult to read the Thrawn trilogy like for this. Like I like even if I've got to like fit it into
Yeah.
my otherwise busy week, like it's something that I enjoy doing. But for these, it would just be like I'm forcing myself to stay up late to get these done like the nights before, and I'm just not having good time. So
Yeah. Like Kevin J. Anderson, I do give him a lot of credit for like being willing to work with other people's stuff
mhm.
so readily.
Yes, totally.
But I like these aren't books that I liked very much, and especially with I Jedi right there. Like
Hmm.
you can read that instead and get the good story beats from it, which maybe that's unfair because there's no other situation where you have two kind of directly competing stories that
Hmm.
are telling the same thing, but we do have that, and I didn't like it as much. Like I don't think Jedi Search and Dark Apprentice are bad. I think they're kind of below average, and especially with I Jedi there, that kind of like
Yeah,
solidifies them as twos for me. But
yeah,
Champions of the Force, I could happily just never read it again.
yeah. Especially like Kip Duran, I really love as a character. But like even like he's not enough to bring it past a 3 for
Yeah.
me. Um, and I love the Jedi Praxeum too, but and like for me, I Jedi is one that I'm internally debating pumping up to an S tier
Hmm.
because I really love that book and I find it very memorable. But it's like it's almost one that like it's most of my A's are really good, but they don't have those memorable moments. For me, it's a little bit of the opposite where I really like iJedi, and it's got a lot of memorable moments, but I don't think it's overall as good as some of
Yeah.
the others. So I think for me, it's gonna have to stay at a 5.
Yeah, me too. Like it does kind of drag a little bit. It's a very long book,
Hmm.
probably longer than it needs to be, but it explores
Yes,
some cool stuff. There are some cool moments. I just don't think it's quite on the same level as like a Plagueis or the Thrawn trilogy from that.
I don't love the flashbacks that much either.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think these Han Solo books might be getting a drop for me,
Okay.
but the problem is, like, I can't remember which one is which. So like, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking it's the one with which is the one where he's raiding the Lost Ark. No, where's the one where
I think
he's raiding the Zims?
I think that's
And
the Lost Legacy.
yeah, because I think that's the last one. So that one is the one I think that screams most to me to be put down. And I think Stars, well, I think Stars End and Lost Legacy are both going to get knocked down to a 3 for me.
Stars End and Lost Legacy are going to be okay.
Yeah,
Like the fact that we don't necessarily know which is which is
it's
probably a
not a
warning sign
great
for it.
sign.
Uh, I'm gonna keep 2 of them at 4. I'm gonna drop Lost Legacy down to 3
Mhm.
because I remember one of my takeaways from the Young Jedi Knight series was thinking about like Galandro, and
Yeah,
I
I
got him
think
confused with the one at Star's End and didn't remember him at all.
I
So
think I'm actually going to move Lost Legacy up to a 4 because I'm thinking like they've got the scene on the water that's kind of cool, and I'm going to move Revenge down to a 3 because that one I hardly remember other than there being slaves in it, like the slave ring, I believe.
mhm.
So yeah, I'm going to do Stars End and Revenge at 3, and then Lost Legacy at a 4.
Okay. So I'm kind of doing just the flip of what you're doing. I think they're all like above average, probably better than people would give them credit for. Which
Hmm.
again, I'm trying not to let that leak in too much. I probably am here a little bit.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't be upset with having any of them at 3 or 4, probably.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. These are ones that are like they're very hard to rate because they're of a different time than
Hmm.
every other book on this list. Um, and but yeah, for me, they ultimately end up being kind of forgettable. They're also pretty short. So
Yeah,
okay, so Isard's
we
Revenge.
were too
That's
generous.
another. Yeah, I'm. That's kind of how I was thinking too. That's what I think that I feel okay bumping down to a 2
Yeah.
because I didn't enjoy reading it. It was it was the one of the only X-wing books that I felt like a slog as I was reading.
Yeah,
So,
like it's definitely the worst of the X-wing crop. Like I think it's worse than some other books, and
mhm.
like if I were to think of like, do I want to read an X-wing book or something else? It's very rare that I'd say something else over an X-wing book. And with Ice Age Revenge, it's kind of like, why does it
Yeah.
exist? Almost.
Yeah.
Because what we
Um,
said about it at the time was it's like it felt like it was just bringing in the characters for the sake of bringing in the characters. Like, oh look, they're doing this thing, and here's this line they said in a prior book. And because we kind of compared it to Starfighters of Adamar, which had
yes.
elements of that, but did it so much better. So especially
Yeah.
now, having read like Adumar after it again, I just at a time when I was desperate for X-wing content, maybe I liked it more
Mhm.
than I would
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I am actually going to bump up Alphabet Squadron 1 though.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a book where if it were written better would get an S for me.
Hmm.
But I find parts of it so aggravating that I can't. But overall the story is good, and maybe it's unfair, but I am giving it credit for its sequels as well.
Yeah, I think part of that is just like whether or not it's going anywhere in the first ones is
Hmm.
harder to see, and like seeing where it did end up, it's easier
Hmm.
to say like, okay, this was how it's meant to be and it worked out well. So
Hmm.
I don't think it's wrong necessarily to let it lean on Shadowfall or Victory's Price again. Do you want to just cover all 3 of them together like we've done for the other trilogies? Because it
Yeah,
is different now that we have. It was one that was
mhm.
coming out as we were doing it. So
Yeah, right. I was looking. You're right. They're not in order there. So we covered Shadowfall and Alphabet Squadron
back to back.
immediately after each other. I'm keeping 5 for Shadowfall and 6 for Victory's Price.
Yeah.
Victory's Price is really good. Um, it's probably like the deepest Star Wars book when it comes to like actually handling complex like emotions and stuff,
Hmm.
which I really enjoyed. It's one of the only. There's only a few new canon books that I think I'd give a 6. I think Lost Stars would maybe be a 6 for me. Um, so yeah, definitely, definitely a really great trilogy. One that, and this one was weird because for me, like I remember even talking on the podcast how my first read through of Alphabet Squadron took me like 3 different tries and I hated it, but won me back. So
Yeah, I'm gonna drop the Shadowfall S to an A, I think.
mm-hmm.
Uh, which like I feel a little bit weird doing that because I kind of like internally put it on par with or better than the Thrawn trilogy. Like it might
Oh
be my
really?
favorite Star Wars trilogy or smaller series, but like
Mm-hmm.
thinking about each one individually, I think I gotta put it at because
That's the
it
hard
does
part.
have
Like
some elements that are like the writing does make it a little bit harder to read in places, but just it,
yeah, that's like where the X-Wing trilogy also like kind of struggles. Where like as a whole, I'm tempted to give the books higher, but like there's problems I have with a lot of them individually that kind of makes that difficult. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, yeah, that makes sense. Your rationale does make sense to me.
All right. Do you want to do the same thing with Darth Bane books, even though we have Chaos Rising in the middle of it?
Yeah. Oh man, I really don't like these books very much.
Yeah, me neither. I feel like I probably put them higher for fear of the backlash for saying I don't like them almost.
Yeah. So for me, I think a 4 for Path of Destruction is okay.
Hmm.
I'm trying to. Where are the other ones? Oh, the Rule of Two.
Yeah.
I think
I mean, I say
what
that
I'm
and I
gonna
might even
do.
bump one up.
I'm going to keep Path of Destruction a 4, Rule of Two a 3, and then I think Dynasty of Evil is going to get moved down to a 3 for me. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna bump up. I think Rule of Two to a 4. I kind of remember liking that one a bit more. And I'm gonna try to remember what happens between the first and the second book. Where does the first book end? It's just like him putting off the bomb, right, on Rusan. It's kind of the end.
I think so.
And the second book is okay. I'm gonna keep the second book at 3, and then I'm happy with that 4, 3, 3.
Yeah, I'm
This is the one that people are
probably
gonna get most angry at us by far.
yeah. Like I think I'm keeping Rule of Two as a 2.
Okay.
Uh I'm looking at my other 4s here. The Han Solo ones, Rogue Squadron. Like I think I gotta put Path of Destruction at a 3 and Dynasty of Evil at a 3.
Okay.
Like I don't think they're bad. I just didn't love them, and I don't think they were like standing out above anything else really.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes total sense. Okay, so this is one of the ones we disagreed most on. Thrawn and Sudden Sea Chaos Rising.
Right.
Do you want to talk about, because you got the more
Do you
kind
want to go
of,
first, actually? This one?
yeah. So like my problem with this series is that on the whole, it's become totally forgettable to me. Um, like I'm a little worried about reading the third book because like I don't really remember what happens. I am in hindsight preferring the. I don't think we've covered them really. Did we cover the other Thrawn trilogy so far? Can't remember. I think we covered one of them
Uh
maybe.
you mean on the podcast or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, we did Chaos Rising or do you oh no, you mean the original New Canon trilogy.
Yeah, the original new
We
canon one. I
haven't
think
talked
we
about
did
any
the.
of them yet.
Yeah. So in hindsight, I like those books more. I'm just thinking like I'm gonna trust my gut with my 4 on this one because I remember the writing was really good and it was like completely new kind of universe. So I'm gonna trust myself with a 4, but
Yeah.
it's been a bit forgettable to me.
Yeah, so I am actually lowering my 6 to a 4. It
Wow.
is a useful book for me, but it isn't as like I was just so excited to have another Zahn book coming out, and especially uh, with the stuff we got earlier on in the year, it was like, no, this would have been last year, but we were getting a lot of good stuff around the same time. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
like right after Alphabet Squadron had uh, really kind of taken hold for me, and we were coming out of
Mm-hmm.
the Darth Bane books, which I just didn't like reading that much. So
Mm-hmm.
it kind of pumped it up for me more than it should have. So, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to just jump down to Greater Good. Yeah, Greater Good
Yeah,
right
it's.
now. Or
I'm gonna trust myself with 3. Like nothing
same.
happens. The only thing I remember is that there's a super weapon introduced at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've got Chaos Rising as above average. Like I did enjoy the books definitely more than you did, but not
Mm-hmm.
more enough that I think it's enough to justify raising it. So I think
Yep.
it's more just a difference in how we talked about it rather than actually
Okay.
disagreeing too much in substance. All right, Children of the Jedi.
1. I
Uh,
kind of dreadful for me. In hindsight, it's gonna be my first one. Just thinking back about my experience reading this and like how much of it I scanned through, it's gonna be a 1. Yeah.
uh, I'm gonna keep my 2 there,
Mm-hmm.
but I again we should probably do like the whole
Yeah.
trilogy
So.
right now. But I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I was just looking forward. For me, Children of the Jedi is going to be a 1, Dark Saber at a 2, and what's the third one again?
Planet of Twilight. See,
Planet of Twilight.
that's how I'm feeling about Planet of Twilight as well.
All I remember is fucking bugs, man.
Uh,
Um,
I don't remember like it. As soon as I remember stuff about it, it tries to leave my mind. I think I have to put.
like for Planet of Twilight, I remember Leia is trapped and there's bugs, and I think I'm gonna give that one a 1 as well. Um, Dark Saber I like more because it's got the Imperial stuff, but still just a 2 for me. So
Oh
1,
wait,
2, and
I
1.
fucked that up.
Oh yeah, poor Starfighters of Admiral.
Sorry, what did
Shit.
you say for Planet of Twilight? I was messing up on that.
A 1 for Planet of Twilight. You've got
Okay,
that. Yeah,
cool,
and then
cool.
yeah.
Crystal Star, sorry, was.
Uh, we didn't do that yet.
Oh right, Dark. It's not part of the same. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, it's
Dark
okay.
Saber
2.
to
Yeah.
like yeah, it's they're not good. They're not terrible. I think part of with these and
No.
Crystal Star, we came in expecting to like them less than we did even, and might have slightly inflated our already not high ratings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Um. All right, Light of the Jedi. This one is one that is such a disappointment for me. Um. Because it was the start of a new series and it just really fell flat. It's still a decent book, but it's gonna I'm gonna keep it as a 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to let my disappointment be known because the world building is pretty good, but the writing for the rest of it is not.
Yeah, like I still like it. There's a lot that stands out as like kind of annoying to me from it, but
Mhm.
like not enough to actually make me dislike the book or think it's below average. But I don't
Mhm.
think it gets above average. So I think Light of the Jedi kind of stays there for me. Do you want to do Rising Storm now as well?
Yeah, what did I rate Rising Storm? Um, I like
You
that
did it
one.
a
I think I rate that a
5.
5, and I'm gonna keep it there. Um, yeah, I'm going to keep that there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to keep mine there as well. That's one that was like kind of cusp 6 to me almost, but
Yeah,
not
that was a
quite
good
getting
one.
there. I really do like it. I think like people I hope people give High Republic a chance, and I'd say even if you don't enjoy Light of the Jedi as much, even if you just jump straight to Rising Storm, you shouldn't be too lost with it.
Hmm.
But I think it's worth the shot there.
Yep.
And do you want to cover
Yeah,
maybe
that
Into the
one
Dark
was.
as well while we do
Yeah, so
this?
Into the Dark is gonna stay a 3 for me. That's one where I just find it a real slog. I like the characters. I like the Rock. I like I mean, The Rock is The Rock. He's funny. I like or Geode. I like certain aspects of it, but it's just so much running around on a space station,
Yeah.
and I find the Dren Gear to be pretty weak as an enemy. I think I'm gonna like the second High Republic wave or whatever more because I don't find the Nihil very interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna put it at a 3 as well. I gave it a 4 initially. I think it's probably, if we were doing like inter-tier rating, I think it does kind of lean up from that, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm also giving it some credit for being like a young adult book. So just
Yes.
like looking at it from that perspective, that's kind of what put it at a 4 for me. But
Mm-hmm.
if I'm just considering it on the same basis as everything else, I think it's a fair 3.
Yeah. Okay, so Starfighters of Adamar. This is one that part of me is saying to move down to a 4, but I don't know. Like I feel like this one is suffering a bit because I'm forgetting some of the plot. Um, I'm gonna trust my gut and leave this as a 5. I think for this one.
Yeah, like I was thinking about moving it down, and then I was like trying to remember what happened in it, and everything that I remembered happening was like, oh, I like that part. Oh, I like that part. Oh, I
Yeah.
like that part. So it's like the dueling
Yeah.
stuff, a lot of the
Yeah.
new characters, even I liked. So it's like, that's a solid 5 for me.
Mm-hmm. Crystal Star. I'm actually gonna keep it. I think you're expecting
Okay,
me to move it down, but I'm going to keep it. I actually enjoy reading it, so I wouldn't. When I was reading it, I didn't wish I was reading something else.
that's fair. Uh, I'm I'm kind of torn on it.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm not sure if I want to keep it at a 3 or lower it to a 2. I think I might actually have enough 2s. I'm just looking at what I put it to. Like I did enjoy it more than Rule of Two, which followed through on its rule. I definitely liked it more than the trilogy. Okay, yeah, I'm keeping it a 3. Keeping it a 3. And we called this on our thumbnails like the worst Star Wars book ever. It's not. It's fine. You can read it.
Yeah, that's why I put a question mark. I'm sure. Revenge of the Sith novelization is staying a 6 for me. This is one that I was tempted to move down. Um,
Mm.
I really love what it does well, but some of it is so verbose. And like, I think the Dooku fight is a
Yeah,
perfect example of something that's just way too wordy for its own good.
yeah,
But given the fact that it's the kind of the big moment of what is essentially an epic, I think it's okay. So I'm gonna keep it at a 6, I think. But I could see myself in the future maybe move. This one is, if we were ranking the S's, this would be the lowest by a margin.
yeah. It's another one where I'm thinking I'm not sure if I want to keep it where it is or if I want to move it down as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm trying to think of like what's gonna join the S's in the future and how it kind of stacks up to that as well. How many stack pulls
Mm-hmm.
that gets it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, is it as good as Heir to the Empire, Last Command, Victory's Price, and Plagueis?
For me, it's not, but it's in the same ballpark.
Yeah. I do really like Stover. Like if I'm thinking of future sixes, like Traitor probably makes it in for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I finished Traitor and I immediately wanted to read it again, and I've had this persistent feeling of like I want to go read Traitor pretty much ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm keeping it a 6.
Okay.
A Traitor's talked me into it somehow.
Shatterpoint's going down to a 4 for me.
Yeah.
Where I really liked it, but it's also a book that doesn't commit. Like we talked about that quite a bit, or at least I did. I think you agreed with me when we were reading it, where it's got a really interesting thing going on for the first half, and then it kind of drops it in favor of a more generic kind of action adventure. And
Yeah.
that ends up being a bit to its downfall. Still
Yeah.
above average, still quite good, even maybe very good, but not excellent and not legendary.
Yeah. If the final like third of it lived up to the second
Mm.
third even, I think
Yeah.
it'd be possibly even a 6, an
Oh
S.
yeah, I
But
agree.
the ending is just kind of like, oh, I've done all this stuff and now let's
If
go home.
they could have killed Mace Windu in the book, like had it end like that or something, or it kept the kind of tone throughout, then I think it could have been. But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one that like I think maybe a reread could change my mind and move it up. but for now, I'm going to keep it there.
Yeah, I think for me, it's one of the ones where I expected it to be kind of average, went in and really liked it, and that's kind of what put it probably above where I'd put it on review now, because like it had been probably a good 15 years since I'd read it initially, and yeah.
I'm gonna do the same with I really like the Black Fleet Crisis, and I'm going to I think maybe actually, you know what? I think I'm trying to remember this. How's the first one set up again?
The first one
It's largely on
has
Coruscant, right? I think.
well, the first one has all of the different plots kind of like mixed together in like
Mhm.
the initial setup with Luke and with Lando and with Leia. Like
Yeah,
it's not like Shield of Lies where it kind of splits them up separately.
I think the thing that's keeping this to 3 for me, and I guess we didn't give it a rating originally, is how poorly written Leia is. I find
Yeah.
her to just be a total downer in a
Yeah,
way that
that's
she
true.
isn't usually. But yeah, so that one's going to be a 3 for me. And I think that Tyrant's Test is going to move down to a 3. Actually, I don't know, because
The thing
trying
with
to.
like each one has one good plot and at least one plot that is just when you think of it, it kind of drags down the experience. And Shield of
Mhm.
Lies has the benefit of like if you want to cut it out, they're all in their own thirds, but at the same time, that means you have a third of the book where you cannot escape Luke or Leia.
Yeah.
And I just, you know,
Uh,
like I almost want to put like I'm not sure if I'm gonna do all three as three or if I'm gonna do 3 2 3.
I'm definitely keeping one above. I feel like I like these books more than you did. Oh, I accidentally just changed them on the wrong. Oh no, that's fine. Um, what are you giving them? What are you coming down on?
I'm actually I do agree with you. Like one of them is definitely above average. I'm just not sure which one it is. It's either Tyrant's Test or Before the Storm. I think. Like Leia is more tolerable in Tyrant's Test. She improves compared to like how shitty almost all the main characters are in Before the
Mm-hmm.
Storm, and like the Luke and Akana plot is really bad throughout. But it kind
Like
of
it's a
just
bad ending, I feel, but it's also shorter in the last one, so
yeah
it's like it's. I don't. Yeah. So for my thing, I don't like the Luke and Akana plot, but I do enjoy like seeing the galaxy as like they're kind of like pilgrims, which is
yeah
interesting. So I think I'm gonna go 3 for the. I'm tempted to put the. Okay, I'm gonna go 3 4 3. I think so as I have it
okay.
now. Yeah.
So we each changed at least one of those, flipped some of
Yeah.
them. Like I don't know why I put Tyrant's Test as low as I did there.
Yeah.
Uh, just like thinking back to it, there's not much that's jumping out to me as like
Mhm.
really bad. I think it's probably my favorite of them. So yeah, I like what I did there. I agree with me.
Okay. So Ronin, this is one that we didn't rank last time. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on this book? I'll
Uh,
just say mine. I'm giving it a 5. I really
yeah, me
really
too.
enjoyed this book.
This is a book I even like played a little bit with. Like, do I want to put it as a 6? I don't
So
think it
did I.
quite gets there, but it's really good.
I think if the writing were a bit cleaner for me,
Yeah.
like it's very dense at some points. That's what's really holding it back because the environment is awesome. The setting is cool. I really like just the kind of vibe of it. It's obviously very different than any other book on this list, but it definitely kind of that's what holds it back from, that next level. But it's still an
Yeah.
excellent book. It's one that I find myself thinking a lot about like over this past week, which is always a good sign. Like I'm just looking at this list. Like there are certain books that after I read, I think about a
Yeah.
lot. Like Alphabet Squadron: Victory's Price is one that I thought about a lot after reading. Um, Obviously, the Thrawn trilogy I think about a lot after I read. Um,
And then there's the ones you try not to think about ever again, like Planet of Twilight.
yeah, or like yeah, exactly. Or MedStar One is one that I thought about a lot
Mhm.
after reading. Which is probably why I almost gave it to a 6. But yeah,
Like
that's
for me, the issue with Ronin as a 6 is the same thing that I kind of felt for the first half of Alphabet Squad, where like I like
mhm,
pretty much everything it's doing, and the characters do have their own characterization, but the way everyone speaks is kind of the same and trying to get the same theme across. So they feel a little bit less developed, and I think MedStar is a really good example of where that's done a lot better,
mhm,
where they all kind of shine through in their own personality a bit more
mhm.
instead of just
No,
like a bunch of mysterious stranger type people.
yeah. No, that makes total sense for me. I'm just trying to calculate also what our total changes were. Um, equals some. I'm curious to see how much we each totally changed. But I mean, I think I'd say our trend was kind of as we predicted. We were no huge changes, but definitely kind of normalized our rankings a bit, which I
Yeah.
think is good moving forward. So I changed a total of 14 books. 14 like moved in some way.
Okay.
I did an absolute value. So
Yeah.
I'll do yours now. Or sorry, I didn't change a total of 14. 14 spots moved among all the books.
Right.
Um, absolute value of beep minus. I think you had a few more changes than me, maybe.
I had a few that dropped 2 slots. I'm not sure if I'm misunderstanding the way you were doing that, but
Yeah, all
uh
I'm doing is like I'm calculating how many slots were removed in total. So if one
okay.
book moved down 2, that counts as 2 slots,
Okay.
basically.
Okay. Yeah. And I think I
Um,
did that a few more times than you. I did it at least for Chaos Rising, and I might have done it for something else. So that
yeah,
alone
you had
probably
18 in
contributes.
total.
Yeah.
Um, overall, though, I mean, I think we're still kind of there's still no huge disagreements on our list. I think the biggest one is Champions of the Force, but it's not quite. Actually, no, because that's just still one. So
Yeah.
we're
There's
usually
really
pretty
nothing
in tune.
that's more than one off. Yeah. There's like the
Mhm.
biggest one before was Chaos Rising, and that's something I've been thinking about for the last year as a big sticking point in our friendship. Where like, can we really be friends if we have such a divergent opinion on that?
Yeah,
And
such a important book in our lives.
but yeah, so next we're kind of getting to the towards the end of the original Bantam run.
Yeah,
So
we are, aren't we?
we still got the Corellian trilogy. We've still got New Rebellion. Um, but then it's just the Hand of Thrawn duology, and we get
Mm-hmm.
into the Yuzon Vong War.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
So yeah,
also a bunch of stuff to like jump back and read, obviously. But
but we are moving. So yeah, it's exciting times. What do you still want to do? New Rebellion next week. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of dreading it, but obviously it needs to be done at some point.
do you want to do a different book, like a jump back in time? I feel like we do need to do a book episode because we have been
Mm-hmm.
doing fewer of them. Uh,
Yeah, we probably should do some book.
there's like we could skip over New Rebellion and get back to it eventually, but
Mm. Probably not. We probably shouldn't do that. I'm just dreading it. Like that's one that like I'm I'm preparing it to be a 1 just because I really don't want to read it. And I feel like I'd rather be reading something else, but maybe we should just do it, I guess.
how long is it? That's gonna
It's fairly long from what I remember, which is I moved my books out of my office, so it is 400 pages. Oh, he's got his mic off. Or his headset off.
it is. Oh
I think
fuck!
400. Yeah, it's long.
It's 550 pages almost.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's do something else next week because I don't have
I
the
don't have time
mental.
for that.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
I still have to do some other work that I honestly can't fit that in. Um,
Hmm.
what do we got?
Chat, do you have any recommendations?
I don't know. We
For
a lot of people have mentioned Lost Stars in the chat over the episode. We want
that
to
would be a
get
good
Star Wars
one.
explained on when we do
Yeah,
that, so that's one we can't really
it's
make on
also
our
pretty
own.
long as well.
Yeah,
Um, how long is the? Actually, never mind that. I was gonna say we could do the new We could go back and do Thrawn, but there's not really any reason to, is there?
No, because we've also got
Um,
Lesser Evil in a couple weeks.
Yeah. I'm just looking for some ideas here. Like, and someone in the chat mentioned Jedi Prince, but that's another book where, like, I'm sure we're gonna have to give the Young Jedi Knights treatment, where we don't give them ratings because there's 6 of them.
Like with those, I think they are about 100 pages, so it's hard to do all 6 at once and call that one book, which we
Yeah,
probably will
no,
do for some
exactly.
stuff. So
I mean, it's gonna be like KOTOR, or sorry, not KOTOR, Young Jedi Knights, where we do yeah,
we're probably not going to rank it with it.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to hide the original juniors, hide the game books, hide the junior novel adaptations, hide the young reader books, hide the novel adaptations.
We could do like Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, if you're still on the James Luceno train.
Isn't that a pretty long one as well?
Yeah, it's 336 pages, I think. So it's up there. What about Tatooine Ghost?
Yeah, we did skip over that one before. We're gonna have a lot of Troy Denning later, so slipping one in when there's still not gonna be Denning everywhere is probably a good idea.
Okay, let's do Tatooine Ghost then.
Tatooine Ghost.
Okay. Also kind of appropriate, unless there's something Boba Fett related, but I can't really think of anything. It's still Tatooine, so...
Yeah. I was thinking like maybe start off Republic Commando, but then we're kind of committed to doing Republic Commando. Maybe closer to Bad Batch Season 2. We should do that.
Tatooine Ghost does seem to be fairly long, but... Well, we'll get her done, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm at least not dreading it the same way. I kind of just want to do New Rebellion now.
Okay, let's just do New Rebellion then.
We're doing it. We can't put it off.
All right, we'll do New Rebellion. Fuck's sakes.
Or Rebellion Trilogy Book 1. Just skip past it and go right to the next thing. It's probably the right thing to do.
Okay,
we're doing
let's
that.
just do that.
Rebellion Trilogy,
Book 1. What's the name of it again?
Han Solo Goes Home. Fights an otter.
Han Solo Goes Home. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Han Solo's Otter Adventures.
At some point, we do have to read the... did you ever read the Young Boba Fett comics? Or not comics?
No, I don't think I ever did. No.
Those ones are fun.
I did like Jedi Quest. I actually really like Jedi Quest, so we need to do that at some point too. But
what was the name? Boba Fett novel.
Like, honestly, the Corellian trilogy books, I don't think any of them gets that long, so that might even be like 3 weeks in a row. We could just do all of them and then get into Lesser Evil.
Boba Fett: The Fight to Survive. Yeah, I remember this one. Sick.
We'll figure it out.
Sick book. Yeah.
Okay, so Corellian trilogy. Showdown at Assault at the
Salonia
Center Point Crisis of the...
Book 1 of the Corellian trilogy by Roger McBride Allen is called Ambush at Corellia.
There we go. So that's going to do it for tonight's episode of Tapcaf Transmissions. Next week, we're doing Ambush at Corellia, the Assault at Salonia edition. Whatever the first book is called, I forgot already. But
it is Assault on Corellia, Ambush at Corellia, Assault on Salonia, and then Showdown at Centerpoint is book 3.
All right. So we're doing that. If you guys want to see these rankings as they get updated in an episode that's not necessarily about them, they're always linked in the description on the podcast side as well as on the videos.
Update my
channel at least. Mm-hmm. But we're going to go and do another podcast over on youtube.com/ECKSTOO, where we're going to be talking about probably less Star Wars, but we're also going to be drunk for that. So that'll be fun too.
Yep. All right. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and thanks for listening. Guys, I didn't get a chance to check podcast reviews today. If you want to leave a review that I read on the podcast, throw the word... What book did we most rip on today?
Planet of Twilight, I think.
Planet of Twilight. Throw the word juicy in there in honor of his great obesity. Is it, which hut is it now? Beldorian. Yeah. Throw something hut or snail related or slug related. Or just, how about just slug? Just throw slug in there.
Okay.
All right.
So there were 2 emails that we got that we didn't get to so far, but we will get to them next time. So thanks, Joel and Clam. But
Corey?
We didn't have any before the show started. I went to check now. We've already done the outro, so it's too late.
No, it's still. I lost you for a second. But what were you saying?
I was
We got two
saying
emails,
we
but
got 2 emails, but we didn't answer them. We'll answer them next.